A wonderful good evening, guys, to another MTGO Modern League with me, Magix. And yes, we are still grinding on with our Uro pile here, with Uro's personal zombie army. And by now I have a little collection of leagues I have played. And yeah, all of them are still performing, or went pretty well. The deck is still performing very strong. And yeah, today I want to record a video on the league where I tried out Shark Typhoon to maybe show how it will feel in this deck. And this is also a league where I have cutted the 5th spot removal to test that out and include another Wall of Omens in that spot. The rest of the deck is still the same. I think I have included another Soul Guide Lantern in my sideboard for this league instead of the Greater Gargadon or Gargaroth, because yeah, I played a lot against Dredge in these last leagues, and I mean, we won some games, but we lost more. And while these games were close, and I certainly made mistakes that could have led to more wins in that matchup, I felt like I wanted an extra piece to bring in that matchup, so I wanted to include Soul Guide Lantern again. This is just experimental for this league. Besides that, yeah, I still run the Seaside Citadel here. Of course, it's not Triumph. I can't cycle it, I can't fetch it out, but at least it is choke and boil proof, and sometimes it fixes your mana, and it's nice to throw in with a Growth Spiral here or there. Anyways, so much for the deck. Let's jump into some action.
Push the goddamn button! You heard what she said.
I wanted to play the challenge, or one of the challenges from the last weekend, but somehow I always missed it. So yeah, we still have to do with some of the leagues where sometimes you face random matchups that I don't expect to hit as much in the higher competitive field because of the 30 ticks entrance points. But by now I've grinded so much profit and value that I figure I want to test this deck more in a high competitive area, maybe even in prelims. But yeah, the timing is harsh here when you're playing in Europe. Okay, so yeah, I kept a hand with two land drops, Growth Spiral, Uro, right? And we're playing against Blackcleave Cliffs Inquisition, so it's very likely Junt. But I think it's not the meme video I made. So I don't think there is any boil here in our future, but I can't remember exactly. Though, yeah, I had to make the meme video after reading a post on Reddit that said Uro has no weakness whatsoever, destroying the matter, please ban. Then find this hilarious when you have also stuff like Dredgetron and whatever else in the format and no one cares. But as soon as a kind of fair deck becomes too good, everyone screams bannings, and yeah, had to make some fun out of it to troll. Anyways, with Growth Spiral and Uro here, we are ramping up to 4 land drops on turn 3. We could have played Teferi, sure, but there is nothing to bounce on the battlefield. And if I uptick him, we open ourselves up to Abrupt Decay without getting value. And if I downtick him, that would be fine, but then he gets maybe K-commanded and they make us discard, and then they are even. And I want, yeah, this is a situation where I want Teferi. Now we can bounce the Tarmogoyf, and if they don't have the K-command to make a profitable trade, or we hit the land drop for Mana Leak even, that would be great, but yeah, we failed with the land drop. But if they don't have something to kill the Teferi here, that would be great because he blocks Bloodbraid Elf. If we would have hitted the land drop, I could have prevented the K-command here, but okay, in this case it's a 1-for-1 trade, right? And it fills our graveyard up for Uro, so now we are one card away from hitting that. And to be honest, if we manage to hit the 5th land drop, with the Hour of Promise in our hand, we are getting very close to Field of the Dead. And ever I am playing Field of the Dead in these Bant versions, I feel a lot more comfortable with the Junt matchup, because the longer the game goes, it is more and more likely that you win, because Junt typically can't really stop Hour of Promise if they don't boil all of our lands. So here I'm not blowing up a Cryptic because we have the Aether Gust to deal with the Goyf anyways, and yeah. Hitting Liliana would be good. In this case, I still bounce the Goyf to buy a little bit tempo, because we are far ahead on cards, and this way they can't make use of all their mana each turn. But we are still needing some land drops, of course. At least the 5th. There we go. Alright. Now we have unfortunately drawn both of our breeding pools, so even with Hour of Promise here, we can't activate Field of the Dead immediately, but after Hour of Promise we are so close and they have nothing going on that we are winning for sure. That's why they concede there. A, they have to deal with Uro. B, they have to deal with the zombies afterwards, and that is not something Junt can do typically in game 1 when we are not under so much pressure here. So I bought out all of the Force of Negations because I don't intend to pitch or to go down on my own cards just to negate something from them. With Aether Gust here, we can pick up Renin 6s most of the times. Liliana is a little bit harder to deal. Of course, we only have 1 Celestial Purge in the deck and 3 Cryptic Commands. This is one of the only ways really to deal with her, because we are playing Wall of Omens instead of Snapcaster Mages. Sure, we have Shark Typhoon, but usually they have leftover Fatal Pushes or something to kill the Shark, so it's not a guarantee. But if you can bounce her once and stall long enough, maybe we find Field of the Dead and go from there, and yeah. We have still Mana Leak and Remand and the Dovin's Veto to catch her. So also we have Weight of Summer now to stop the annoying discard, and this is a solid hand again. We have either turn 2 Mana Leak or a Ramp spell, and then turn 3 Teferi to stop Bloodbraid Elf and maybe bounce back a Tarmogoyf or something. Now the nice thing is, in this version we are running the Wall of Omens, and this is a very good card against Bloodbraid Elf. Because then when you have the wall on the battlefield, they can't, and you play a Jace, they can't immediately kill the Jace with the Bloodbraid Elf because you have the wall in play, right? So that's pretty cool. And here they are just playing now a Scavenging Ooze, not particularly threatening. We can take a few hits from their 2/2. So we're holding up Mana Leak in case they play a Liliana. But if they don't do that, we can just Growth Spiral into maybe the Prairie Stream or fetch out something else. If they play like a Fulminator now, I think I would Mana Leak here. Liliana, Fulminator, Mage, maybe even Renin 6, so the cards I want to Mana Leak. And here comes a Fulminator indeed, so instead of ramping, sure we could offset the Stone Rain with Growth Spiral, but I think Mana Leaking here is fine. And yeah, then we play the Plains, bounce back the Ooze, and he can't go with the Bloodbraid. He can go with the Bloodbraid Elf, but then it doesn't generate value, and that is what the Junt player wants to do. And we have 6 different lands here already, so if we hit Field of the Dead anytime, we will get there. We will create infinite zombies, or infinite enough, or enough zombies so that we can overwhelm them. Alright, excuse me, I forgot to mute the video, and then the music starts playing. Don't know if I will hit copy, strike, flames or something like that, so that's why I don't opt to choose music here on these videos. So yeah, I use K command here to get rid of the Teferi, but that is fine. He has replaced himself. Now they could use Bloodbraid Elf again, so I choose to use another Teferi and uptick, so he can't bolt it. If he wants to kill it with a DK or Assassin's Trophy, we can protect it from with Veil of Summer. And here, even a Bloodbraid Elf can't kill it at this point, so... Here comes the Fulminator, no issue. We can also punish that with Veil of Summer. Okay, probably place the Ooze as well. Yep, that's fine. No Uro in the bin, so not doing a lot right now. Of course, we don't need Uro necessarily to win, because we have Field of the Dead, Jace, Teferis, and even the Shark Typhoon can be hard cast. Okay, that's a good move. He does it in our turn, so we have one less mana available here, so we can't play a 5-mana Teferi or something, but yeah. Here we trade 1 mana for their Fulminator Mage, bounce back the Ooze once again, play the land drop, ship the turn, hold up Growth Spiral and or Shark Typhoon, and path the Exile, and here. So they have Ooze and 3 unknowns, nothing going on over there. These are usually the turns where they start chaining some Bloodbraid Elves and get back into the game, but Teferi says no. Another Fulminator Mage, sure. At this point, he will get a land, but we have so many of them, who cares? Right, so same situation as last turn. Now we can use Path to Exile and get rid of the Ooze finally, so that if we draw the Uro, we have at least a chance to get it going. And of course it can become bigger and stop Mystic Sanctuary as well, so... we could fetch out the Mystic Sanctuary here and put the Veil of Summer back on top, but I don't see a reason to do that here yet. And I would have fetched out the Temple Garden, but if you look, it's already in our bin, so couldn't fetch that out there. Anyways, we can create a big shark here. That will be a very big shark, and we see what will happen. I don't see anything I want to put back on top here. Maybe a path to exile when we are expecting a Tarmogoyf, but that is not a given. So we could also fetch out the Hallowed Fountain, since we have another fetch land in hand for Sanctuary anyways. Right, so I choose the path. Because I probably expect him at this point to have some Bloodbraid Elves. No, okay, just fetch it out for the land count, but then it's loose because could have easily also shocked in a Hallowed Fountain. Because now he can cut us off a white source and... Okay, it doesn't do that. Oh well. Okay, here comes Uro. Yep, thought sees it. We fetch out the basic forest and then the Titan comes. Unless he boils us now, then we only have basic Plains, a Misty, and a Shark left. But it's only a Liliana, so he can uptick and deny us the green source, but instead he wants to get rid of the Shark. I don't know if that is correct, but yeah, in this case we fetch out the green source and play the Uro, and on an empty board, or against a Liliana, and him having nothing in hand, don't think he can do that much. And even if he can kill the Uro, I mean, our graveyard is big enough that we can cast it once again. And here comes Field of the Dead, and that is probably also game over, because now any land we will draw will create into more board presence, and if we don't draw lands, then we draw more business, so no more dead draws in our deck. Yes, nice Bloodbraid Elf, you don't do anything. And that's why he concedes. Yeah, so much for the Junt matchup. Feels like we are like a mini Primeval Titan deck with these Field of the Deads in our deck, and this is traditionally what Junt struggles against, so yeah, I'm happy with this matchup far more with the Field of the Deads in our deck. Second match, we have 2 lands that come into play tapped, but we have 3 in total. And 2 spells for early game interaction. 2 Teferi Time Raveler again. So I kept the sand, and we are playing against an Ethervile deck. Could be humans or some Leonine Arbiter Death and Taxes style deck. I think we start here with Sanctuary because if we draw into Growth Spiral, we can ramp ahead. And this also means that we have a high. If we don't draw any other lands, we can still play Teferi on 3 at least, with Path on 2 against maybe Athalia or something, and maybe we can slow him down and bouncing this Ethervile back. But yeah, he plays a freebooter here, and now he can grab the Path. But yeah, we probably go with the second white source out of the Misty on 2. And then hope that we draw Supreme Verdict down the line, like always. That's pretty strong, especially with the Sanctuary left in the deck to wrap it back to our hand. I don't know what this pause is for, because in the end he will surely pick Path to Exile. Alright, we draw a Remand, play the Misty out. Now, maybe he wants to use his mana, then we can still fire off the Remand. He just plays Vile, so I don't choose to Remand it, and he doesn't use his Cigarette for anything else, like a Noble or something, so that stinks. Because I could have at least cycled the Remand. Right? So what to do? We can bounce the freebooter, then it becomes smaller again and we get the path back, but ideally, like if we don't draw Supreme Verdict, I would rather do that on the next turn, because then we can also fire off the Path to Exile immediately. Right now we only take 1 additional damage, so I use this window to drop the Field of the Dead into play. Still hoping that we can remand something, but with now 2 vials on the battlefield, that is unlikely, but not impossible. Like, if he wants to play a 2-drop, has to use his mana. Okay, here comes Champion, that can't attack yet. Here comes probably Mantis Rider. No, it was a General. Okay. Well, now we take a lot of damage here. So, need Supreme Verdict. Still doesn't play anything else.
Bonfire!
And hey, so good and so good on drawing that on turn 4, always against humans. This is now the 2nd or 3rd time on camera, I think. And yeah, now we have also Aether Gust still in hand against Mantis Rider. He drops that into play. We are still at 8, so we won't die immediately. And we have the path to Exile back. And if he plays like a Meddling Mage, we can still bounce the Mage and path to Exile maybe another card. So, and if nothing happens, of course, we can just drop Jace with path back up, so that's also great. Okay, here comes the Meddling Mage, probably naming Path to Exile. He has one unknown card. I wonder why he didn't use the other vial. So does he have another 2-drop in hand? Maybe a freebooter in the draw step? No. Okay. So if we bounce back the Meddling Mage now, it's awkward because he can flash it in with the other vial again. And name Path to Exile then, and then we can't path it immediately, I think, because he still has priority, right? It's not an ETB. So we can also play the Uro out and hold up Path to Exile and Aether Gust. This puts us up to 11 life and maybe another land drop, but yeah. Okay, I choose to uptick to the Teferi so that we can maybe make use of him next turn. That of course is dangerous, like if he draws now a Mantis Rider and flashes in a Mantis Rider here, that can become dangerous. But it's only a Reflector Mage, so that is a nice target to bounce. I think I want to path the Meddling Mage still. Okay, and he draws a land. Of course he can redraw. Yeah, exactly. If he draws a Mantis Rider, then we can Aether Gust it, but it's only a temporary solution. Yeah. In this case, we path to exile away the Meddling Mage before he can maybe image it or something, but yeah, freeing up the Jace here seems pretty powerful, and of course we're also working towards Field of the Dead that can stop these Reflector Mages or any other ground threats. Now if we bounce the Reflector Mage, he can just flash it in again. And since we are at 5 life, we could die if we tap too low. Like if we now tap 4 mana for the Jace and don't find the path to exile, then we could still die. Because if he flashes in the Mantis Rider here and draws a Mantis Rider from his deck, could die potentially. Because he out-tempos us, so I think bouncing the Reflector Mage here seems still fine, because then he can't use the Vial for Mantis Rider here. That's why I think I bounce it here. Yeah, exactly. Sure, he can replay it, but it's only a 2-3, and in this case he can't use the Vial, and we hit the land drop here. And if we hit any other next land drop that isn't one of those lands we have already in play, which is very likely, then we get also some zombies on the ground to block his non-Mantis Rider threats. So let's see, he has 2 cards now. Okay, this is a redraw. So still 2 cards. Okay, does not kill Teferi. Like that choice. But I think we have to use the window now for the Jace and hope that he doesn't have the double Mantis Rider. I mean, we still have the Aether Gust. It's not like game over. Alright, here comes the land drop for the zombie. I don't think, we don't need the Force of Negations in hand. Even if he plays an Aether Vial, it's not something I want to force here anymore, or don't really care. But this is great now. We have still Aether Gust up against Mantis Rider. We have now 1 blocker on the ground. And if we can untap next turn, we also have walls and stuff like that. Field of the Ruin can create another zombie. Still some possibilities. And with the 3rd mana, we can also play the Aether Gust under Athalia or something. This is okay. Here he bounces the zombie, but if he would have a Mantis Rider in hand and draws a Mantis Rider from the top, then he would have gotten us here. Because then he would have enough power in play that I can't answer at the same time. So, yeah, 3rd Horizon Canopy. It's a crazy close game, even after the verdict. But yeah, if he can't kill us on this attack, I'm very confident that he can't ever win anymore. Because we can use the Jace minus to kill one of the Reflector Mages, and then we can create a wall, we can create more life with the Uro in hand. That should be good enough. Alright. Could also, yeah, sacrifice the Teferi here, install. And then we have 5 cards in our bin to play the Uro out. Then we can also drop the wall. He can't double Mantis Rider here. I think if he would have had this, he would have used it. But now we draw the path to Exile, so we can create a zombie with the Field of the Ruin in fetching out the snow-covered plains, and then also use path to Exile. You can Reflector Mage the Uro back, that is true, so that's a little bit annoying, but not the end of the world. The important thing is that we have drawn this extra card and that we gained the life. Alright. Drawing some lands that he can't cycle. And here comes the Mantis Rider, so we know that the last card is the Reflector Mage, so we won't die here and stay at 5, that is good. Yeah, we can do this right now, like blow up the Cavern of Souls, fetch out the basic planes. He will bounce the Uro anyways. I don't think he will go for the token. Alright. Attacks, we path the Mantis Rider. Yeah, I mean the ways how he could win or the chance was very slim, but we were so far ahead that I was thinking more about how we can still lose this game, because I think if he doesn't draw this, chance of winning is very high. Now I like Whale of Summer because they have Rebooter and sometimes they bring in the dude for 3 mana that can exile an instant or sorcery from your hand, Sin Collector, I think. And then, of course, Condemn, because yeah, he wants to attack us, and that is a pretty efficient removal spell. And Celestial Purge also against all these black creatures and Mantis Rider. And I like one timely, but the second copy is usually too much. Like sometimes it can stall a turn, but it will not stop humans that long. And yeah, all the other stuff seems pretty good, like Factor Fiction to find Supreme Verdicts, Cryptic to bounce, Meddling Mages, because sometimes they have 2, and name Path to Exile and maybe Supreme Verdict, and then you really need a way to break up this lock. Planeswalkers to pull ahead. I mean, we don't have that many anymore in our deck, like the Fairy to bounce Files, that buys usually a few turns of tempo. Hour of Promise seems good because the zombies can really stall the ground, much more than timely in my opinion. And yeah, then I was switching out one Aether Gust for a Remand because Aether Gust can really only answer Mantis Rider and only temporary at that. And while that is okay and better than Mana Leak, I was thinking that okay, with Remand at least you can cycle. Yeah, it's never that dead. You can even like maybe use a Path to Exile, hold priority, remand it back to your hand, and then Path to Exile again. I know it's not the best spell, but I think it's better than the third copy of Aether Gust, if that makes sense. And as I mentioned, I don't like the second copy of Timely, and all this other stuff here seems way worse. Ashiok has no text. Could maybe bring in Soulguide Lantern because that also just cycles. So I think that's even better, actually. That was stupid, maybe. Alright, here we go with a derpy hand, so I choose to mulligan that since we are on the draw, and we redraw to 7 cards anyways, and yeah, we have 3 land drops. We have Growth Spiral to ramp up, so maybe a turn 3 Supreme Verdict. Here we have a Factor Fiction that can find the Supreme Verdict, so that is great. while maybe dumping an Uru into our graveyard. That's why I like the Fact of Fiction. And here comes the Meddling Mage. At least not a Thalia. Probably naming Path to Exile. That's what they usually name when they don't have information about our hand, and they choose that. Fetch out the Prairie stream, because if we draw it in the next few turns, while it would come into play untapped in this case, there's no guarantee that I want to play out all these basics, so I usually try to fetch out the Prairie stream. Maybe with this specific hand, could make an argument that fetching out the Hallowed Fountain is better, because if we have to fetch on turn 4 for the second white source for Supreme Verdict, then we could save those 2 points of life, so maybe that was the wrong decision here. And those 2 points of life can matter. Here comes the Mantis Rider. I could Aether Gust it on this deck, but can also do it inside combat, so could also take the hit and just use the mana to ramp up, but I think stalling here is as good. Then we can use Timely next turn, and here Growth Spiral will be fast eventually. Alright. Go to 16, then we go to 22 and create 3 blockers. Where did you put the Mantis Rider? On top, of course, so... But that's okay, we can at least stonewall either the Meddling Mage, like go all in. He puts up the Vial to 3 now. Yeah, then we don't have to fear Lieutenant inside combat. Or, I mean, if it doesn't attack with ground creatures, that's also okay here. Alright, another for 3, so double Mantis Rider. That is a scary draw here. We don't have the second white source that I can hope for the Supreme Verdict again, but then again he goes all in here. So I block the Meddling Mage dead so that we have Path to Exile available again. And that is rewarded. So we could now Teferi, but I don't see a good target here, because he can replay anything, and I don't want to bounce the Lieutenant and let him grow his flyers. So fortunately we have to Path to Exile here. Can't use Fact of Fiction or anything. Take the hit down to 7. Has both of his basic lands now, so next time we path, we get the full value out of it. And Growth Spiral hit the land drop, very good. And we found Hour of Promise. And I think I make a mistake here, and I was not realizing that I can't create Field of the Dead. Yeah, now I'm counting. I was too happy to draw this card. So this is loose. Because if he draws now another Mantis Rider, we are immediately dead. Or even any human, like, because then the Lieutenant grows to 4/4. So to play the save, I should have played Teferi and bounced the Lieutenant. Then we would have taken 4 damage from the Mantis Rider. I mean, if he draws another one, we are still dead, of course, but he already had 2, so the chances are slim. But now I threw this game away. Abandon hope. Something. But I was miscounting. I thought that I could create a zombie and therefore block the Lieutenant on the ground, and then I could have used the Teferi next turn and get more value out of it. So I make the mistake there. That was dumb. Then again, of course, there is no guarantee. Like I mentioned, he replays the Lieutenant, grows the Mantis Rider to a 4/4, plays the Meddling Mage, I think, and names Path to Exile anyways. Right, was this true? Yeah, he had 4 mana. So he would name Path to Exile, probably, replay the Lieutenant, and then we would have 1 additional draw, which would have been the Delta. I mean, the stone walls on the ground, but since I would have used the Teferi up, I couldn't have fetched out Mystic Sanctuary and redraw the path. So we would have banked on the fact that Factor Fiction would have found something, but since the Meddling Mage names Path to Exile, we would have needed the Condemn. So I would have at least given myself a chance to win that. So should have done this play. Anyways, game 3 on the play. The hand doesn't look that strong, but we have a lot of ramp going on, and there, I mean, Rose Spiral and Uro are cycling, and even Shark Typhoon will cycle and create a blocker, so I figured let's give this a chance. We have so much spot removal that it's not unlikely to draw some. And I like the ramping here, especially against the Thalia start, because we get this additional land drop and can work around her. Right, the way to beat these tax effects is to simply ramp up. So let's see what he's doing here. And yep, there's the Thalia rewarded, so we get immediately the additional land drop. So that we are at 4 lands next turn. Means we can't play the Cryptic, but still good for our spot removal. We have to draw, of course, and then we draw the wall. This is a nice goodie here, but we don't need it right away. We are at a very high life total right now, and yeah, can use this window to ramp up even more. Now we have all of our lands in play, and since we drew this additional land, I can play the wall as well. I could leave Whale of Summer open to prevent a freebooter, but I was thinking that playing the wall now seems better. Maybe that's wrong, and you want to hold up the Whale of Summer, but if he doesn't play the freebooter, then you have wasted 2 mana, so yeah. Block. Thanks. This Thalia is a very sad girl in this game. And of course, with the Field of Ruin and the Shark Typhoon, we can feed the Uro, so it can come into play very soon. Also have a Cryptic going here. And that's the reason why he names Uro already. But that is something you want to see, like the Meddling Mage naming Uro means that all of our removal is still online. Yeah, Seaside Citadel is no island. This has pros and cons. In this case, Mystic Sanctuary comes into play tapped. He doesn't play Boil or Choke. There's no advantage here, but alright, next Meddling Mage naming Supreme Verdict. Let's see, we can create a 3/3 Shark and block one of these derpy Meddling Mages inside combat. While redrawing. That is nice. Do we draw? Field of the Dead. Hey, hey. Alright. Look at that. And I want to free Uro now. So Reflector Mage, that would be perfect. No. It's a general to spit into our Uro soup. That is very rude of our opponent. I just wanted to chill here, play some Uros, make some land drops. The opponent doesn't like fun, so there he goes. Ruins our day. So far ahead here. Let's see. Does he have Freebooter now? That would sting, because we still have Whale of Summer. Maybe he has more Thalias in hand. So next turn we will play Field of the Dead, create a 2/2, and then we can blow up Field of Ruin and create another 2/2. That's great. Then we have 4 power to block with, alongside the 0/4, so we have saved like, I think 5 damage by now, and we are entering turn 5, and we already have 7 lands in play. This really showcases the power of these Field of the Dead Uro piles. This kind of really feels like a Primeval Titan deck, but with so much more game due to the Cryptics and all the Planeswalker that you have. I really like this version. It feels really powerful. Probably also the reason why I make so much great results with it as of late. Alright, another Meddling Mage for Path to Exile. Here comes the Remand, looking sad, but I mean, we can still cycle it on a Veil of Summer or something, so we have enough lands in play that this is a real possibility. Teferi costs 4 here. Doesn't look that hot. But probably better than nothing. So again, both of his basic lands are in play now, so the next Field of Ruin and or Path to Exile will be very good. And note that we haven't had a single removal spell in this game so far. So there are still 2 Condemns, 4 Path to Exiles, the Celestial Purge, Aether Gusts, all in our deck. All hanging around there, and we are still at 16 life, and look at this board. He doesn't have any good attacks here. And then we draw a Jace on this board that can find more land drops. That seems pretty powerful here. Dropping these Planeswalkers behind your wall. But instead I hold up Cryptic here because I was thinking, okay, Vial is on 1. He probably has to play something here to break through. And if not, we can bounce the Vial back end of turn or something. So I was not trying to be in a rush and keep my sweet time here. I think that is fine. I think you don't have to drop the Jace immediately. Then run maybe into Lieutenant and force yourself into Arcward blocks or anything. Maybe get blown out this way because suddenly all of his creatures become 4/4s. So here he goes all in on us. Then we can kill one of the Meddling Mages. He can't have a Lieutenant inside combat, and even if he does, I mean, we have 4 power as our blocks. So we only take 6, go down to 10. Still fine. Free up Supreme Verdict, but that's still fine on this board. We have it at instant speed due to Teferi. And here comes a black spell, Sin Collector. Yeah, there it is. So I choose to Veil of Summer, and I think I hold priority here and Remand as well. No, I don't do that for whatever reason. Okay. I see this line now because we still have 4 mana here. I should have just remanded it first to cycle this damn remand. Now we can still Cryptic here. In this case, I really wasted the 5 mana. And I apparently didn't block the Meddling Mage with Supreme Verdict. So awkward. Far ahead, then I start doing the sloppy plays. But okay, we have now 4 blockers again against his ground creatures. And now I think I should play either Jace. Yeah, no, I should play the Jace probably and hide the Supreme Verdict. Because then I can bounce the Meddling Mage anyways. This now seems like I just repeat the last turn. But of course, if you place more out, the Supreme Verdict becomes also much better. But I really hope that he can't create another Sin Collector here, either with an image or from hand or something. Here comes a freebooter. Now you have to break through the freebooter and the meddling mage, which is fine. We can do that in just sacrificing the Teferi. But if he picks the Cryptic now with the Kite Sail, then again I wasted a lot of mana here. So in hindsight, if I don't use the Cryptic last turn to bounce maybe just the Vial or something, I should have played the Jace. That was loose. He still doesn't have any good attacks, and I think he made the mistake in picking the Verdict. Because if he picks the Cryptic, I can't cast the Verdict anyways, but then again, yeah, I can sacrifice the Teferi to break through this, so probably doesn't matter. So we bounce back the freebooter. Don't have to fetch. We sacrifice the first Teferi and bounce the Meddling Mage back. We trade our derpy board with their board. And we still have 7 cards in hand, so yeah. Becomes harder and harder for them to claw back into this game. And the fun thing is, you keep so much time with winning here. Right, we can still create 2 more zombies with these fetch lands. We can put Supreme Verdict back on top with the second Sanctuary. Like, it's very hard to lose from this position, in my opinion. Still, this Remand should have been cycled also way earlier. Alright, freebooter. Finally. Don't go for the Remand line, which makes sense here because I want to hold up Mystic Sanctuary with these fetch lands, so it's fine. There's a Meddling Mage. Now I can finally Remand this. And get some value out of it even. Alright. Redrop. Mantis Rider. Have to exile that. Sad because Aether Gust would have been the perfect target here, but whatever. I don't think at this point, with only him having 1 card, we have still Jace and Teferi and another path to exile now, because this is the first removal spell we really cast here in this game. 30 cards in, right? We have now only 29 cards left in our deck and only have casted 1 path to exile so far, so... And then you find the second Field of the Dead, and this is the moment where the opponent probably concedes, because he can never attack on the ground again, and we only have to take care of 3 Mantis Riders at this point. So there we go. First drop the Uru as well, so that they can create another Reddit thread on Uru. Here we go. And win. Alright. Next match. We are on the draw. So I hold the sand. Because Spell Snare can catch up. And we have enough land drops. Path to Exile as interaction. And in case it's prowess or something. Yeah, and then the win conditions with Fact of Fiction and Teferi. Refill the hand. So it could be blue-red prowess with a slow start or storm. Since we have Spell Snare here, is fine. But we still need some counter spells. There we go. Please have Dawn of Force. Can path to exile the next Stormlord. Okay, it's just a sleight of hand, but they can still make a land drop. But in this case, after the land drop, they can't storm off, so path becomes okay. Anamorphose is fine. Now, if they go with the Ritual now, I probably would force, because I fear empty the Borans. I think nowadays they play one copy in their main deck, so you have to be very careful about those. Maybe the first ritual is fine because then they only have 3 red mana floating, and empty costs 4. So yeah, but definitely keep an eye out for those lines. One of my most played matchup so far is Storm. Don't ask me how I managed this on MTGO, but I think I have played around 8 Storm opponents or something by now. Now this Gifts Ungiven sucks because we only have one counter spell, and if I use the Force here, I mean, we are kind of forced to force. But yeah, now we open ourselves up and then dropping a Stormlord and going off, but with only 5 cards in hand. I need a very strong combination of cards, so I figure like, okay, if I don't force, they will definitely have the cards they need, and at least here, yeah. This way we keep in the game, I think. Keep ourselves in the game, and Mana Leak becomes weaker and weaker, but you can still make some use out of it. Now I use the window in using Fact or Fiction. They can now drop a Gifts Ungiven, so then it's back 7 against 7. But I like the Remand and the Cryptic here. I also want the land drops, honestly. So the only card I don't really care about is Path to Exile, because we have a copy of that in our hand anyways. Sad thing is, if they have the Gifts Ungiven, we can't drop the Teferi. So then it's a waiting game again until we have enough land drops. And they offer us the counter spells or the land drops. I don't think I can decline the counter spells here, given that we have only a mana leak. So as sad as it is, can't draw the lands here. But we can put the Fact of Fiction back on top maybe later on. Okay, here comes the gifts. Now they probably pick the standard pile, I think, and it's not the value gifts with other gifts in between. This is a second copy, so I think the most dangerous card is a Stormlord here still. Okay, they didn't pick one, so I think I pick pieces here because that promises the most cards for them. And then I pick one of the ritual, and I think I pick the ritual that can splice, because the other one will only always be 3 mana, and the Metamorphose at this point is only a redraw, so if they need more rituals, at least I have only given them one. If they needed more card advantage, I have denied them that. But we failed to hit the land drop, though the Aether Gust is still good against maybe a Past in Flames or something. So we can Aether Gust the Goblin here. That is also fine. Hope they don't have a Baral as well. Put the Goblin back on top. Okay, Metamorphose into it. That is fine, because we can still Mana Leak the first ritual they play, maybe. Alright, or if they don't do anything, we can still Path to Exile the Goblin. So let's see what they plan to do. Nothing. Alright. And bye-bye Goblin. Of course, we give them more resources in this way. One of the matchups where Fatal Push is certainly better. Or even Lightning Bolt. I don't fetch because I need land drops. And there we go. Alright. Now we have Cryptic plus Remand at least. Or Cryptic plus Mana Leak. I also make a land drop. So it becomes this weird waiting game again. So the second Gifts Ungiven certainly hurts us, because else I could have played the Teferi by now. So I choose Fact or Fiction, because we can do this at instant speed, and we can draw into it here, and I hope they don't have a third Gifts Ungiven in hand. And this secures us more land drops. The Force is also very nice, and here we can dump the Path of Uro. And they offer us... I like that. I think I should have picked the Force pile actually, because I don't see myself picking the Uro, playing the Uro out that soon. So having Force of Negation in hand gives us a really nice insurance, because we have so many cards in hand anyways. And yeah, tapping down mana here is very dangerous, so I think I should have picked the other pile. Give us a window to maybe drop the Teferi or something in the future. So now I'm forced to play something, which is awkward, because now we have only 4 mana up. This means that Cryptic becomes very awkward, and they have so much resources to work with that this is the window they probably needed. So yeah, I should have picked the Force with the Polluted Delta and anything else. So here they go. At least if they go for Anti the Warrants, we have a Supreme Verdict now. So this is fine. And they go with a Past in Flames. I can't let that resolve, so I think I go with Remand first. And if they replay it, we can still Mana Leak it and at least survive this turn. But this is really the target you want to hit with Force. And now they make the smart play and Remand their own Past in Flames. So yeah, make the wrong pick with Factor Fiction here, definitely. The Uro in the bin was still fine. Right, now we have at least double Mana Leak. 2, 4. I can't double Mana Leak and Cryptic. That is awkward. Past in Flames costs 4 and then 5, so yeah, it's very bad. Okay, at least now they took away one of their lands, but yeah, they have 6 cards in hand again, so should have really gotten them last turn with the Force. Okay, here comes the Baral. And they don't continue, so we have to give them back a land drop. But we don't get anywhere, like I don't have a Jace or Teferi going to force them into bad plays. So I have to do something here. Let's try out 3 mana Teferi, and it works. I draw to hit another land drop. Of course, they can still grape shot it easily here, but at least then they have to move somehow. So they have 2 for 8 mana. And the thing is that Mana Leak is not good if they start with a Ritual, because then they have enough red mana to pay for the Mana Leak anyways. But if they just go for Past in Flames first, then we can still get them with the Mana Leaks at least. Okay, we can't do anything about the Goblin right now. Too bad. That doesn't change the math that much right now. They don't start with the Ritual. Well, which they do, of course, because they know their deck. Still have to try it, I think. They can't make more mana in respawns, at least. They pay here. Then we can still fire off the second Mana Leak. Because if you let this Past in Flames resolve here with the Mana Morphosis in the graveyard and all these rituals, you will die. So much is certain. Now on the bright side, they only have 3 cards in hand, and we have still the Cryptic going for us. And if we draw another fetch land, we can draw into the Force maybe. With a Mystic Sanctuary. Okay, that is fine. So they are also slowly getting out of resources. Now we have the fetch land. Unfortunately, I see here that the second Sanctuary is in our graveyard already. So I can't even put the force back on top. So yeah, it's very annoying. So I think we have to kill the goblin here and hope that they don't have more remands in hand, because I can still counter the Past in Flames flashback. I think. What do I do here? I play the Jace instead. The Desperation Brainstorm, probably. Yeah. Okay, Aether Gust is a fine pick. So, pay off. Because it kind of works like Remand if they flashback a card and you target it with the Aether Gust. Then they don't get it back into hand or on top or anything. Start with Opt. A land drop, 2 cards in hand, and another Past in Flames. Ugly. So we have to bounce this Goblin response, because that means if, since they have played another land drop, if they don't have a ritual, sure they can flashback one of these Past in Flames, but then their mana is spent and they can't do anything with it. And if they replay the Goblin now, they can't use Past in Flames. So yeah, if they have a ritual or remand, we would have lost here, but seems like that is not the case. And by now they have saved a Grape Shot in their end. So sure, they can kill the Jace, but at least we have bought more turns. And now they are really all in on these Past in Flames here. So they have 9 mana. They can only flashback once if we deal with this Goblin. And if they don't draw a remand. If they draw a remand, they can't remand their own flashback spell because then they counter it in a way. Sure, they redraw, but still. So that's the reason why I fire off the Supreme Verdict here. I don't think with the Uro in the graveyard or heading the battlefield now I have to fear the goblins anymore. The empty the Warrens, so I also don't need the Teferi on top. That's why I simply hope they don't draw another remand here and fire off this Uro to finally end this game before they find more pieces of the puzzle or something like that. Right? So yeah, we can counter one Past in Flames here, and then we have to find, of course, something else to prevent the second one in the following turn. Right, Opt. Let's see. Top or bottom? Bottom. Alright, so it's probably not a remand or a lucky one. Okay. Gust paying off here in the main deck once again. Second one we fire off. Got him. Now we still have more Cryptics and Forces in the deck. Hour of Promise is not what we need right now. Maybe I should have fired it off beforehand just to get these dead land drops out of our deck. So I really need the counterspell here. Right, and there's the Cryptic. Okay. Still think I should have fired off the Hour of Promise, but then again we wouldn't have had the 4 mana here, so in this case I don't fire off the Field of Ruin. Yeah, okay. Control. Only have to counter this Past in Flames. We can cast the Cryptic 2 times. They have a remand here, so this is also a reason to save the 5 mana maybe. And yeah, when we bounce the Sanctuary, then we can draw the Cryptic every turn, and this is game. Whew, very close again. I think I made the mistake with the second Fact of Fiction not picking up the Force. That would have made it so that the game wouldn't have been as close, but managed to pull this out in the end. Yeah, bring in Whale of Summer against their counter spells. With Whale of Summer, more Aether Gusts. You've seen this card is still very good in this matchup, and the Soulguide Lantern simply because it can cycle and sometimes you deny them their graveyard value. And I don't think we have time to always drop the Uros. Jace is also very fragile, as well as all the 5-mana spells, like maybe you need some of them, but with Field of the Dead we have already a plan going, so we will secure the late game, I think, and tapping out for the Planeswalkers becomes only really feasible if they stumble on land drops, but I don't want to bank on our opponent stumbling, so I choose to be as interactive as possible to delay the game as long as possible and eventually win with Field of the Dead. That makes sense. And yeah, I don't think I need Hour of Promise necessarily to find it. We have Fact of Fiction, or just if the game goes long and we draw half of our deck, chances are high that we will find that eventually. And we still have some Uros in the deck, so it's not like we have nothing going. I bought more Aether Gust in because sometimes they are also on Aria of Flames. That is also a card you can answer with the Aether Gust, so it's very versatile here. Once again, we have the Spell Snare as well. Great card in this matchup. And seems like they stumbled on a land drop and decided to concede anyways. Okay, fourth match, 3-0 so far. Let's see. On the draw, we have the Spell Snare and Wall against aggressive decks, so I choose to keep here. With 27 lands in the deck, the chance of hitting the third land drop is high. And okay, we are playing against Red Prowess. Now we are on the draw, we don't have a single removal spell here. But we have third land drop now, and maybe we are lucky and ramp on Supreme Verdict on 3. I choose to hold up Spell Snare maybe against a Sprite Dragon or Mana Morphose, but of course they just play 1-mana spells here. I don't have a Path to Exile, so I get punished by shocking the land in. But believe me, if I wouldn't have shocked this in, they would probably play the Sprite Dragon or something, and then I would bite myself in the ass, so, well. Whichever way I played this, I probably would have gotten payoff. Now I play the Wall, and lo and behold, they play 2-mana spells now. That's how it goes, man. If we would have been on the play, we would have been on the play. Yeah, see? Probably could have fired that off last turn. Or they top-decked it with the Serum Visions. In any case, this Spell Snare looks very set in our hand. And while I can block one of the Swift Spears, we are taking a lot of damage here. Now let's hope they don't have Mutagenic Growth as well. They can still Lightning Bolt the Wall and Lava Dart as well, yeah. Just calling the shots here. Then we fall down to 3, and at this point we are dead. Because fetching means we go to 2 with the Lava Dart in the graveyard. We are at a virtual 1, and hey, there is a Supreme Verdict. Like, yeah. If I would have been on the play with the Growth Spiral and Wall and Spell Snare, I think I would have gotten there in this game 1. But since we are on the draw, we are this one turn too slow. They played the 1-mana spells when I hold up the Spell Snare, and they played the other stuff when I played the Wall. Then again, if I don't play the Wall, I think, yeah, I could have stopped the Manamorphose, but we would still have taken a lot of damage, I think. So unsure if I win. If we were on the play, I think we would win this. But alright. Bought out all the clunk. I don't think you need Field of the Dead in this matchup, and since we are boarding down on curve, I think it's fine to go back to 25 lands. I mean, played this matchup with my usual control version a lot, and 25 lands seem fine there. Still enough to play most of your stuff, and you have the Growth Spiral and Urus hit the land drops, so 1 land drops are dangerous, but yeah, if one of these Aether Gusts would have been another land, I would snap keep that. This hand looks good. So we find a 4th land drop by turn 4, but again, we have at least 1 removal spell and the Spell Snare as well as Supreme Verdict to catch up. Opponent takes a lot of mulligans here. To be fair, I have not lost a lot against the blue-red prowess deck, so eventually it has to happen here, I think. So maybe today is the day. Go. Scar Mage on 1. And here comes the Manamorphose. So I think I used my Spell Snare here and simply take 2 damage. Let's stop them from advancing here. Right. I think I should have fetched, because if I fetch now inside combat to fire off the Aether Gust, I still enable them light up the stage, so it's dangerous. But okay, they have an enabler anyways. They go. Let's see if they want to pump up. I decide I don't want to take the damage, so fetch now. Usually I like to wait a little bit more. Maybe they try to pump with Mutagenic Growth or something, but not guaranteed, and already took some extra damage last turn. Here they go with the Stormwing Entity. They put the Soulscar Mage on the bottoms. This probably means they have more threats in hand. We have drawn a path to Exile. I still fire off the Supreme Verdict here to be mana efficient, and yeah, at least trades 1 for 1. I mean, they only have now 2 cards, right? So we are still at 13 life. We have now Mana Leak and Path to Exile, so yeah. Doesn't look that bad. We are 1 Uro away from winning this, probably. Don't care about the Lightning Bolts. There's a Stormwing. Don't want them to scry Batlam or something, so let's Path to Mana Leak that. Path to Exile will have some value eventually, I hope. Maybe they have another Stormwing because they still bottom their Soulscar Mage, right? And well, now I draw a little too much lands for boarding out 2 copies ready. And there. Now I can still answer the 3rd bird, but then we have nothing going for us. Really have to find an Uro now. Puts 1 card on top, but if he searches now for a land, then he shuffles it back, alright. And yeah. Flooding out here, guys. It's really bad. Land drop, Bedlam Raveler, and game over. Yeah, I mean, we have drawn 4 lands in a row. In hindsight, I should have maybe put Aether Gust or Mana Leak back on top, but yeah. It seems so awkward because then we are trading these Aether Gusts 2 times for their top deck Bedlam, and we are also not getting anywhere, so I don't think this is a winning line. I really needed like a Cryptic, a Fact of Fiction, an Uro, any of that to pull ahead here. Unfortunately, this was the day where I finally lost to this blue-red prowess deck, so no trophy this time, guys. And let's see the sneak peek. Someone hit the Tron button again. Someone hit the damn Tron button. But I don't know that yet. And yeah, the hand looks solid anyways. Because we are on the play, we have the Growth Spiral or Aether Gust on 2. Whatever we are playing against, one of those cards is probably good. And then we have the Teferi and on 3. Or even Cryptic on 3. And yeah, here comes the power plant. So the Tron button with the map. So turn 3 Tron in our future, I think. Right. Now, since we have 3 islands already, I choose to shock in the breeding pool because that means that we have Misty Rainforest potentially for a Mystic Sanctuary if it's another land drop. Don't, so play the Misty Owls anyways. Yeah, should have put the islands into play because of this top deck possibility here. Slight mistake again. Always with the land drops. I always see this hindsight, but not while I'm playing. This is really awkward. Alright, turn 3 Tron. At least we have 1 Cryptic going for us. Here comes a Karn. I mean, I could have put the Cryptic back on top, but there's not a way to draw into it and hold it up yet in 1 turn, so it's not the end of the world that I put the wrong land into play, but certainly should have made this play. And yeah, if they have now another Planeswalker, we can only create a 3/3 Shark, so doesn't look good here. And since I have nothing else, I hope that they maybe also don't have nothing else, so I try to counter the stirrings. They have another Karn. Maybe I can draw into a Force here, so let's cycle the Shark Typhoon response. Sure. Take our white source away. Well, I have more where that came from, but I don't have a big enough shark to kill the Karn. If I don't Aether Gust the damn stirrings, I could have killed the Karn with a shark token, because then it's a 3/3. So yeah. Maybe I should have done that. Opponent writes us main deck Aether Gust, and yes, because of prowess. And yeah, it doesn't really matter. Whatever. Plays a 10 mana Ulamog and we are dead. So we bought out the Supreme Verdicts and the walls and put in the Ceremonious Rejections and 1 Ashiok or I bought out. See it right now. Oh yeah, 2 Supreme Verdicts, 2 Walls for this other stuff. Yeah, makes sense. Alright, let's go. And this hand looks nice. We have a Remand, we have Dovin's Veto, Path to Exile against maybe Walking Ballista or Worm Coil, and the Rejection. And maybe the Jace as a payoff. I was asking our opponents how he survives the Prowess meta. Probably with turn 3 Worm Coils, and it's the only way I see them ever winning. But if they play against Blue-Red with all their flyers, and especially Stormwing, maybe they can produce lethal by then. Because they just fly over the Worm Coil, so don't ask me. Because I rarely have seen Thragtusk or anything out of Tron these days, so I don't know how these Tron players do this in this matter. Because it's also not like they crap over control all the time anymore, so I don't know where the free matchups are. They also have a horrible Ponza matchup in my experience, so I think it's not a good deck choice right now, but hey, to each their own. That's what I mean by playing more the premier events. Meta becomes more focused, I think. Alright, here I choose to Remand because they don't have green source. They have played Tower, so they are very slow, and if they don't get anything going next turn and we can drop the Jace, then we probably win here. So that's why I try to ramp here with the Uro. And yeah, we got rewarded. We can also still hold up a Rejection against the map. Or an O-Stone. Okay, it's crying. And reject that. And that's fine. It's only the second Tron piece. They have played the land drop already. So they are still very slow. And hey, go through in to break up the second Tron piece again. So yeah. Let's drop the Jace because they don't have anything to deal with it right now. And brainstorm away. These are usually the games you slam dunk home then. They stumble once. You have here Force, Dovin's Veto, and Rejection in hand. Now we are one Cryptic away from building a lock with these Sanctuaries. And unless they run something like Well of Summer, see them ever resolving anything. Bye bye Karn, no one likes you. Go away from where you came. Now we can also play out the other Sanctuary, draw into the Rejection later. So, yeah, not in a rush because we still have Veto and Force, so all is good here. Can first shuffle away one of these extra Path to Exiles because I don't think we need several of them. Opponent is thinking a long time. What did we draw? We drew Ashiok, Teferi, yeah, and the Sanctuary we already knew. So we can shuffle away extra Path and the Sanctuary because we can fetch it out with the Misty. And yeah, we can now play the Ashiok out. That prevents him from literally building Tron unless he draws into it or has a lot of steerings. So I think Ashiok is fine here. Then we also have Uro going pretty soon. We can put Rejection back on top for the next turn if we want to. And if he has another 4-mana Khan, we can still force and pitch the Teferi at this point, I think. So looks very good here. Okay, here comes the steerings. Still 2 Tron pieces away, so... And even if he hits Tron, it's not immediately game over, so... All is under control so far. Alright. no other play. The nice thing is also that with Ashiok here, he can't use Sanctum of Eugen to find his big Eldrazi's. So unless he has an Ulamog in hand, can't do a lot, and this is why he concedes here. Okay. Yeah, then we go into game 3. Let's see how this goes. I keep Hour of Promise, by the way, in the deck because it can find both Field of Ruins. And yeah, maybe this is something that can really swing the game back into our favor. Or we can simply search out the Field of the Deads, right? Or colors we are missing, I don't know. Still a fine finisher in this matchup. And I don't see any other card on the sideboard that we really want, because I think that 2 Aether Gusts are enough right now. No. Slow side. A very funny hand with 4 blue sources, but we have the Rejection and an Aether Gust, so I think I keep this because YOLO. No fear in this dojo. And opponent takes a lot of mulligans, but that doesn't have to do that much. Okay, now he goes down to 3. That means probably game over already. Like, them taking mulligan down to 5 is not that big of a deal because they only really have to hit Tron and then some runners, so. But yeah, going down to 3 cards is painful. I mean, they can hit Tron still, so yeah, go from there, but if we hit any fetch land here, I think we are fine. Let's see. Second Tron piece, so there they have it. Ah, the Ashiok, 1 turn too late. Alright, up Rejection, maybe next turn. But yeah, who needs cards when they have Tron? So here they go, 7 mana, right? Completed. But then I notice, wait, they fetch out a power plant? This is not correct. Yeah, they really fetched out a power plant. Maybe a misclick. I mean, we would have rejected the Karn here, but if they have another Karn, would be in some trouble. So yeah, I don't know. Can't see what our next card would have been. Yeah, we'll never find out. But alright, another 4-1. So yeah, we made another 4-1 with this list this time. The Shark Typhoon was okay. I am not sure if it's really necessary, because in the end, it still eats up a slot. And I was really impressed in this league by the ramping capabilities of Growth Spiral plus Uro. Like, we were ramping so far ahead of humans that the Thalia has very few impact in this game, which is usually not the case. So I really like that. And I mean, if we would have been on the play against the Prowess deck in game 1, we would have a fair shot to Supreme Verdict away 3 of his Swift Spears on turn 3, I think. So that would have been also pretty powerful. So I really like the combination of Growth Spiral into Supreme Verdict against these Prowess decks, and I mean, even against Shunt and stuff like that. Ramping ahead into Cryptic, stuff like that is pretty powerful. So I think the Growth Spiral works really good in this deck. Maybe 3 copies is still fine, and maybe I just want to move the 5th spot removal back into the deck. I still don't think I need 28 lands. You could play an Oboro maybe. I have seen that a few times, but Yeah, while you can bounce when you have Field of the Dead in play, and that is certainly powerful, it kind of feels a little bit win more to me. Like if you have Field of the Dead going, you are usually so far ahead anyways. In the mirror, maybe it really comes down to that, because these games are awkward to say the least. But yeah, this is really the only card up here right now. Maybe you don't need the Remand, maybe you don't need the Fact of Fiction, but anything else I really like about this deck. Like I've seen some lists playing the 4th Uro, that is also a possibility, like Fact of Fiction, because it can find one of the other 3s, while also finding Field of the Dead or other stuff you need. So I like to split up a little bit more, I think. Especially if they bring in Graveyard Hate against your Uros, then at least you have a different axis to work on. But I can see that Uro is probably a little bit better against Prowess, but I also see that other decks don't run Aether Gust in the main deck or these extra copies of Condemn in the sideboard, so I don't know. What I missed in this league was the Gargaroth, actually, because I think this is a card you can bring in against Prowess over stuff like Jace or Teferi and expect that to really survive, like a Lightning Bolt or plus Lava Dart or something. And it creates still a big blocker that can generate card advantage and block the birdie. And you can also bring it in against Prowess and maybe Junt, maybe other matchups. So that means sacrificing the slot for Dredge again, but maybe the Lantern wouldn't make such a big impact in the Dredge matchup anyways, and I just have to make less misplays, of course. So yeah, anyways, I still have more recorded leaks in my pocket that I might squeeze out over the next days, and I really hope to catch the challenge or one of the challenges this weekend and run this deck into a high-level competitive field. Of course, hoping then that I make less misplays with my land drops, because this is something I can still improve. I say this over and over again, and I see these lines in hindsight when I make the voiceovers, but during play, maybe there's going too much through my mind, or I'm distracted by the music or something, I don't know, and just jam, like venting off after work, right, and just want to play a little bit and chill out, and I don't put as much effort into my thought process, and maybe that improves if I play a high stake tournament, so to say, and not just a league that is kind of hire and fire at this point. So I really want to test myself and this deck challenge. So I hope I can catch one this weekend. Yeah, then I will record it, of course. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this league, and hopefully see you back next time. So have a great day. Magic's out. Bye bye.